studios. This is After 9 with Scott and Kat.
Hey now.
Hello, friends.
Kat, what's going on?
Same old. Another bit of a dreary day. At least as we record this. I know it's supposed to clear up a little bit later on today, but that's all right.
If we could go a couple of days without the crazy wind, I'd be thrilled. It really irritates the shit out of me. It's constantly windy these days, and it bugs me. Whoever's in charge of that weather machine, if you guys could dial it back a little bit, that would be great. Kat, I want to talk about a number of different things on this episode of After 9. We're going to have some food news on here today. We're going to talk about flying cars because the government of Canada has now commissioned a study on how interested Canadians are in flying cars. We're going to talk about the number of young people, 16-year-olds in particular, who apparently have no interest in getting their driver's license anytime soon, and a lot more. You ready to jump into it?
Let's do it.
Police have arrested 16 people and issued arrest warrants for 10 more as part of a massive auto theft investigation that has resulted in the recovery of nearly 400 more stolen vehicles. They've been working on this for 7 months. They recovered 255 vehicles in Brampton and then another 114 more at, any guesses?
Brampton and
Port of Montreal.
There it is.
Where all those cars were intended to be exported.
Yeah.
It's funny that they call it exporting because for anybody who's ever done exporting, there's paperwork and there's tariffs and all sorts of things that you have to do. These people weren't exporting vehicles. They were exporting stolen vehicles. They weren't going through the process. The taxpayer wasn't getting their cut. No, it was just getting shipped off to Nairobi and sold for pennies on the dollar.
And we knew that. We knew that over a year ago. You could have saved a lot of vehicles from getting there. The problem is, and we still have the question of like, what the hell do they do with these cars now? You know? Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'm glad that it's hard. I don't know if they'll ever be able to cut the head off the snake. And the only reason I say that is because I think the head of the snake doesn't even live here in Canada. I'm certain that whoever the person or the people are that are really, really at the head of this, is it like a pyramid scheme kind of thing?
Yeah.
Like when you want to join this, that's essentially what it is, right? That's what I picture. It's like it's like a drugs as well, right? It's similar where it's like instead of a dealer, you're the person who's in charge of the people stealing. And then you rally them up and be like, how do you feel about a cash payday? You need money? And how many people need money right now? Lots of hands up. Willing to steal some cars? Great. You take over the GTA. You take over the KW area. You're up here. You're up north. And you guys all come together. This is the time the shipment's coming out. Bring that shit to this location and we'll make sure it gets shipped out. Like it's very, very, I'm going to say well organized. Not that it's a good thing, but well organized. So I'm glad that at least one of those portions of it was busted.
Well, here's a problem. 14 of the 26 people implicated here are out on bail. 14 out of 26, more than half of the people who they arrested were out on bail for doing the exact same thing already.
Right. The lack of jail space anyway, is that why? And what's the bail set at? Did they say?
The bail, they didn't say.
Yeah, okay.
We don't pay out very tangible bails here in Canada. It's pretty easy to make bail. Most of the time, it's just conditions, peace bonds, promise you won't do it again kind of shit. And clearly, that is not an effective strategy when people are making good money stealing and selling these cars.
That's right.
You're right, though, about the organized aspect of this crime. They'll appoint a couple of captains, a couple of people that are interested, and then the captains control certain areas, and then they recruit people from that area to steal cars in that area, and they get a cut. The person at the top gets a cut. The person who actually stole it probably gets the smallest cut, but still meaningful.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, why are all these people in Africa and in the Middle East being allowed to buy our $80,000 and $100,000 cars for pennies on the dollar? From what I understand, if you pay $80,000 for an F-150 here and it gets stolen tomorrow and shipped overseas, someone over there is not paying $80,000 for that car. They might be paying a fraction of that.
In cash, though.
Well, listen, we've already paid for these vehicles. It's crazy. And I don't see the auto companies stepping up here to solve this problem. I mean, at the end of the day, we can talk about policing, we can talk about crime and punishment, we can talk about all that stuff. Doesn't this kind of fall on the responsibility of the car manufacturers? They're the ones who made all these push-button starts and, you don't need a key to drive this car. And now they're all getting stolen.
Yeah. I mean, such is the way it goes, though. I mean, it's convenient for people who use it until your car gets stolen, I suppose. But Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it. Some of this, it's not always necessarily the manufacturer's fault. There's some people who are absolutely careless about their cars. There's some people who leave it unlocked and leave valuable shit in it, and there's a lot of human error that goes into it as an owner as well. I have no doubt about it. That's certainly not every case, but that's a lot of the cases as well. How do we feel about starting to implement these driveway protectors in every home, though? I mean, new home builders, if you're doing the more, ritzy homes as is, you could build these in.
After the 4 million condos are built, then they'll go back to building.
Yeah, once you guys are done all those, like, fuck. Those at least have secure spaces to park, though. A lot of them are underground and have a garage, and thieves are like, fuck, I'm not even going to bother with that. Too many layers of protection under there, so at least they have that.
More secure, but if they happen to get in, they've got a basic captive audience there. There's no one really watching the underground. They could work there, as long as the keys are near the car.
For sure, but that's the thing. That's where carelessness can come into play as well. I don't know. I think that there's a lot more that could be done, but I don't want to necessarily put it on the car companies. No. I mean, they're trying to make things convenient for users. And as a user, I find a lot of the features convenient. I wouldn't want them to get rid of them just because some cars get stolen.
I just think that there's got to be some basic security and common sense checks that they could put in place to make sure that not just anybody who was able to clone a key through the front door is able to get in and drive it away. What about a fingerprint? I even need a fingerprint or a picture of my face to unlock my phone. Why don't I for my car?
I wonder if people worry. I'm just throwing worst case scenarios. People worry about what that would do to the owner of the car, though. We've seen people get killed for their cars,
which is bizarre.
And if you put a fingerprint to it, you're telling me a nice car, someone might hurt someone to get that car if that means their fingerprint. They're going to chop hands off, is what I'm trying to say.
What, do they mail the finger with the car, though? Just leave it in the glove box for the next owner?
Ew. No, you can recreate that. I've seen movies.
Oh, you have seen a movie. Okay, sorry, I didn't realize.
I've seen movies who do that. No, I don't know if we'd go there, but there's a lot of factors in the air. We got to make it tougher for sure for them to steal. But also, come the fuck on. There's no way can we figure this out sooner than when it's too late and those people already have their insurance claims going through?
Yeah.
At this point, that's the case.
Well, they are recovering a ton. We got to be up over 1,000 vehicles that were stolen and got recovered before they got sent overseas. But you're right, the insurance is already paid out, so those people don't have a right to get their car back anymore.
Yeah.
Many people probably wouldn't want it back once it's been tainted and a stranger's been sitting in it. I don't know if I'd want mine back. Just give me the money and I'll buy something else. However, people had stuff in it that's important to them, and I'm sure they'd like to get that back. Red Lobster is in an Ontario court today. This is Red Lobster USA, who has now been granted bankruptcy protection in America. Now they would like the Ontario court to recognize that they are under bankruptcy protection in America, which would be the next step in selling off the Canadian assets.
Selling off?
Yeah.
Is someone going to buy it?
Well, Red Lobster's Canadian operations only make up just under 5% of the company's total overall revenue. So Canada's not a huge factor here. If they're broke, I imagine we could sell off some freezers and large inventories of shrimp and lobster and probably recoup a little bit of money. I think their main goal is to keep the chain open in America. The thing is, I found a lot of people when they heard Red Lobster was in trouble went, Oh, no, not Red Lobster. I love the biscuits. I love the endless shrimp. I can't remember the last time somebody said, hey, let's go to Red Lobster tonight. It never happens. Presumably somebody must have been going there, but damned if I know who these people are. How often were people going to Red Lobster? It doesn't seem like it's top of mind.
I think it's because there's not a lot of locations, though. You have to also balance that with there's not a ton of locations. Like, I know of one that's in this region that we're broadcasting here from. There's one in Brantford, if I'm not mistaken. There's one in, like, Oakville or Burlington. Like, there's only 3 in this kind of stretch of southwestern Ontario, I suppose, or maybe southern Ontario in general. There's not a lot of locations, so that makes sense, too.
Let's do a couple of local things from where we broadcast from, where the Scott and Cat stations are. An associate prof at McMaster University has now been dismissed from his position. Allegations against this associate professor include that he engaged in sexual relationships with students. He used research grants to hire a grad student that he had a relationship with. And he was using dating sites to seek out McMaster students who were living in the Westdale area by adjusting his distance settings. He only wanted Mac students. Full statement is on the McMaster website. Hey, listen, I don't know. They said it's a code of conduct violation. If you're a prof you're in a position of power over your students. Now, if despite that, you still end up in a relationship with one of your students, I don't know what to make of that. That's between you and your employer. When you end up in multiple relationships with your student and even use research money to hire one of them, that's where we're crossing into a very, very, very dangerous area.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You're kind of asking for trouble in that case, aren't you?
On
that note, but different, but similar, I got to mention this because I've been meaning to mention this. On the weekend, I finally watched it. And it was our producer, actually Octavia, that started watching it. And she's like, you got to see it. You've heard of the Ashley Madison documentary that's on Netflix?
Yeah.
Have you seen any of it yet?
I haven't yet, no.
So it's called Ashley Madison, Sex, Lies, and Scandal. And I remember, in real time, you and I talked about this breach of Ashley Madison and the usernames being leaked, et cetera, et cetera. I had no idea what was happening on the inside at Ashley Madison. It's a very interesting story. So I'm going to throw out a recommendation here as we're partly through the podcast for Ashley Madison's Sex, Lies, and Scandal. And they have interviews with people who are busted. One guy in particular who was like a known vlogger with his family. He signed up to the site. Hid a bunch of shit from his wife. So they explain their story. There's other couples who are like in open relationships involved in it. But so they talk to those kinds of people. But I was more interested in the inside of Ashley Madison, the CEO, and what he did. You probably don't even remember when the story came out, all the details, do you?
Actually, I do. Way back in the day when Dave and I were doing mornings in Toronto, we had Noel Biederman, the head of Ashley Madison at the time, come into the studio. And
that's the one. That's Noel. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, he was a straight up cool dude. Chatting with him was a lot of fun. They did their research too. They knew that I was a big golfer, so they brought me in some Ashley Madison golf balls. I still have all 3 of them. Won't use them. They're amazing. And he was telling me about the business. Like, oh yeah, very normal thing. A lot of people are having affairs, so you sign up. And I said, I'm in a relationship. Actually, I was married at the time. I kind of want to see what goes on this site, but I'm afraid that if I sign up for the site, people are going to find out and think, oh, there's a cheater. He's like, nah, don't worry about that. That won't happen. We're very secure. And then this fucking data breach happened.
And then Noel got called out because he was cheating on his fucking wife with hookers and all kinds of shit. Just a real piece of work, that guy.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's an interesting documentary.
Great
if you guys want to check it out. He did interviews everywhere. Actually, they did some highlights of interviews. That one wasn't on it, but they did show him kind of going around and doing the interview thing throughout the course of several years. And his wife was even on the billboards going, yeah, we're in a monogamous relationship, but I don't mind being like a billboard poster person for it. That's the business and blah, blah, blah. The poor girl. Fuck, she had no idea that guy was a scumbag. Nonetheless, yeah, go check it out if you're interested. It was always a Toronto-based company, now since been taken over. Noel's long gone, obviously. He got shut out completely. In fact, it's a completely different company. Even the stuff that they send us, you can tell it's run different than it used to be.
They run it very much like a Fortune 500 company.
But there's a resurgence since this documentary came out of people looking up email addresses. Because there's still sites available for you. Because at the time, it was like you could search anyone. There's websites that made it easy. So you could just put someone's email address in and see if they're on.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Yikes.
there's a surge in people trying to find it again, going, oh, fuck, I didn't know at the time you could do that, because they're watching the documentary and learning how to do it. So I think more people are being called out in present time because of this documentary.
Still in the Hamilton area, reenactors from across Canada and the U.S. will be coming to Hamilton this weekend to act out the Battle of Stony Creek. The festival is being held at the Battlefield House Museum and Park National Site. That's at King and Centennial Parkway. You will see people don historically accurate uniforms and use period-specific weapons to bring the battle to life. Other activities include a 19th century military encampment, musket and cannon demonstrations, period music and dance performances, and Indigenous programming. In case you're wondering, the Battle of Stony Creek took place on June the 6th, 1813. They say it was a significant turning point in the War of 1812, which I'm sure we all remember all the details about.
Dude, these things are fucking hilarious. So here's what happened to me when I think it was Newfoundland. It was on a coast, so I feel like it's got to be when I was in Newfoundland. I was just doing a walk with my husband. We were just like, let's go for a nice walk up. Signal Hill. Yeah, beautiful. Let's do a walk. And I believe it was there that it happened. We were just walking, and all of a sudden, I just hear all this fucking noise and hoopla and yelling and shit. Out from a bush, right in front of us, pops a guy with like a fucking weird ponytail. Like a weird fucking ponytail. and a huge gun. It was fake, but we didn't know what the fuck was going on. Huge gun, like huge rifle, like, one of the long dogs. I don't know much about guns, but whatever. One of these long fuckers.
Long dog is what they call it.
The long dog.
Yeah,
he pops out of the bush right in front of us. I'm like, what the actual fuck is happening? He's like, sorry, milady, but he talks all like it was fucking from then, and he's like, beware the battle, where the battle is on, or something. I was like, who is this fucking psychopath? And what institution did he just leave? Where are we right now? Turn the corner, there's a field full of them.
Yeah.
They were fucking loving it. And people are standing around, they're watching, they're taking pictures, and they got their like hands on their hearts and shit. Like they do this every now and again, I guess. And there's flags going and just people up on a hill watching. And these people are like, oh, 3, like just fucking yelling random things. And it was something else.
Yeah,
I looked it up later.
All of that.
I looked it up later, and that was it. That's what it was. It was they were reenacting some things, and it was a team that gets together and does this. And hey, to each their own, man. We all have hobbies. We all have shit we like, and if that's yours, cool, man. But holy, he scared the shit out of me.
Who are these people? Are these like card-carrying Comic-Con members? Are they cosplayers? Yeah. Are they gamers? Are they business professionals that just look for something else to do? Are they swingers? Like, they must all fit into some sort of a group here.
Yeah.
Who are these people that have costumes from the 1800s and like to get together and play fight once in a while?
They have people who will make the costumes for them as part of the group. You know what I mean? You have to have your people. Yeah, there's Facebook groups for them, I'm sure. But I remember being like, I had no idea this was happening until I stumbled upon it. And that was unfortunate because I had no fucking idea what was going on.
Yeah, they should really warn you in advance, right?
And they like really do set off like these, I think obviously it was a fake cannonball thing, but it scared the shit out of me.
Now let's go to the Cambridge area where investigators believe lithium-ion batteries sparked Thursday's fire at an apartment complex on Avenue Road. Flames and smoke were reported around 6 p.m. This was bad. 10 people treated at the scene. 5 people taken to hospital for burns and smoke inhalation. Fire had to rescue people off of their balconies. And they now believe it was lithium-ion batteries charging at the time that caused the fire in one of the units.
Scary stuff, those batteries.
What do we do? Our homes are now full of these fucking things.
Yeah.
From the drill in your toolkit to the scooter your kid rides to the whatever it is that keeps your phone charged up.
Yeah.
They're all using lithium-ion batteries. How do you know when one's about to go? How do I know my house isn't on fire right fucking now and there's nobody even home?
Yeah. Yeah, it's scary. I'm with you. I don't know. And what do we do? Like you said, it's being used everywhere. Do we replace it eventually? And if so, with what? I don't know enough about it. Maybe there is something we could replace it with, but it's too expensive or there's not enough of it or this is just what we have available in terms of resource. I don't know. But I don't like hearing stories about shit randomly exploding.
No.
I don't think anybody does.
Me either. In Guelph, staff at the Cargill Dunlop facility are officially on strike. Union members voted 82% in favor of rejecting the proposal on Sunday. Nearly 1,000 workers are walking the picket line. That's fine. Every day, I probably get half a dozen different strike notices from different unions across this province or this country. This one stands out, though, Kat. Let me tell you a little bit about this Cargill Dunlop facility. It is a beef slaughter and processing plant. Workers want a pay increase that reflects the cost of living, and they'd like back the $2 per hour pandemic pay that the union claims was taken away after the pandemic. This will be a major shock to the supply chain. Cargill's plants in Alberta and Guelph, just those 2 facilities, make up 55% of the beef processing in Canada.
Yeah.
The Dunlop site processes, and you'd have no idea this was going on if you didn't hear this pod or happen to know somebody there.
No idea.
They slaughter 1,500 cattle a day on average. It is the only large-scale facility in Canada that produces 100% halal certified beef. We can't let this fucking place go down. Do you know what that's going to do to prices?
Someone texted in the show today and happens to work for Cargill. So told us and we supply all of Wendy's with their burgers. That's one of many, many chains that we supply. And I thought, fuck, is Wendy's going to have to start putting out round burgers? How does that work? Are they the only ones with square cows? No, I mean, that's one of many chains, apparently. I'm just naming one, but there's several. I mean, not to mention, the grocery stores, of course, many of them. I'm sure that's a lot of cows slaughtered a day. That's a lot of cows slaughtered a day, man.
Prices.
It's kind of freaky, isn't it?
It is. But prices just started coming down on meat. In fact, right now, you can get some, nothing like it used to be, but at least better priced steaks, roasts, briskets, that sort of thing. Just now are these prices starting to come down. If this strike goes on for very long, it's going to shoot right back up and big time if they can even get beef in. I mean, holy shit, 55% of the country's beef comes from either this plant or the one in Alberta. That's nuts.
Yeah, I'm curious about the restaurants too. Like, what are you going to do?
I'm also a little curious about how much we're nickel and diming these employees. As I understand it, this is an extremely profitable company that makes literally in the hundreds of millions every year.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard if you're making hundreds of millions to pay your staff a living wage? I know that the living wage has gone up, and there's every reason to think that it will go back down at some point, probably after the next interest rate announcement or the next election. Either way, what are big companies like this doing for their employees in the meantime? Why did they have to walk off the job for this? Why did you take away the $2 an hour pandemic pay when clearly they're a major piece of the supply chain?
Yeah. I hope that they come to some form of an agreement. You think about that job, and how many people do you know that are willing to do it? Honestly.
Special kind of person to do it.
Special kind of person. You have, 1,000 of them right there that are willing and able. They're just looking for being able to make an actual living. I don't think that's a tall ask. I mean, good luck trying to find more people. And I'm sure they'd be able to fill positions for people who want to get paid that amount. But not a lot of them, I don't think, unless I'm wrong there. So, yeah, we'll keep you guys updated on that one.
Today, Kat, marks the 3-year anniversary of something that we were all talking about 3 years ago today, when they discovered the mass graves from residential schools in Kamloops.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember the government pledged hundreds of millions of dollars to recover these bodies and the truth about what happened at the residential schools? I can tell you that today, on the 3-year anniversary, not one body has been found.
Since the initial?
Yeah. You remember they were walking around with the scanner and they found all those anomalies in the ground? And so they thought, okay, these are the bodies, unmarked graves and stuff like that.
There was no bodies?
Not so far. $300 million they've spent on this, and 0 bodies have been found. Not to say that there aren't bodies out there, but they weren't there at that residential school.
Did they check other residential schools? I remember the plan was to check everyone. We're going to search high and low. We're going to make sure that this is recovered. How many residential schools were even checked with that $300 million that you're talking about?
Well, other areas had more money to work with besides this $300 million.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. It's, I don't know, like I remember 3 years ago, we were all like, oh my God, we suck. We are a bunch of assholes. Our history is all tainted, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't seem like we're looking in the right place or something.
Right. Or did something get moved or in that amount of time?
Well, listen
to me, automatically going to conspiracy theories. Like someone dug them up and moved them. Because we know things happened. Like there's no way around it. Shameful, awful things happened. So where's the evidence at? We need to know.
That's what a lot of people are wondering, because obviously it's a pretty big bill. In just a sec, we got to take a break here. We do that from time to time in After 9, and you'll hear some great words here about other products and podcasts that are available. And on the other side of this, we're going to talk about flying cars. And I don't want you guys to think, yeah, flying cars. They've been saying that since the 80s. We're finally at a time where we're ready to do the flying cars. And Transport Canada did a survey of Canadians. And what Canadians said is outrageous. Kat, you're driving down the road and bam, somebody crashes into you.
Jerk!
Yeah. And if you actually get hurt, it's not just your car that needs a little TLC. You do as well. And you know what? You may be entitled to compensation for that. A lot of people don't realize there's a limited window on how long you have to file those claims. So if you've been in an accident, you've got to call our friends at Diamond & Diamond Lawyers.
Yeah, absolutely. And people can be careless and we can be victims of people's carelessness, and that's what Diamond & Diamond is there for. So we're talking dog bites, we're talking slips and falls, brain injuries, and definitely those car accidents we were talking about. There's a 24/7 hotline for Diamond & Diamond, 1-800-567-HURT. You can also go to diamondlaw.ca and they'll help you out. Now, we know the team personally, and we can tell you they've helped people we know, and they can certainly help you out as well.
I've referred a lot of friends to Diamond & Diamond, and you should definitely call them if you're in need. 1-800-567-HURT. Cat Transport Canada has commissioned Leger to do a study on flying cars in Canada.
Oh, great. I don't like it. Okay, let's hear out the study or survey or whatever.
They say generally Canadians hold a broadly positive attitude towards so-called advanced air mobility, which features both drones and electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. That'd be like drones and then like the piloted drones,
Right.
the ones that can...
Yeah.
For those who don't know, in 2028, it'll be legal in America to have these flying taxis. And for companies who want to make them, and there's many that do, even Hyundai has got one.
Sure.
It looks like a helicopter with a couple of wings. And what it'll do is you walk out to the parking lot at your work, for example, and this taxi will drop down, you hop in, and then it's very much just like using an Uber, except there's no driver there. It'll fly you to wherever you're going. What I'm not sure about is how do they determine where is a safe place to land?
Yeah, they'd have to have designated pickup and drop off spots, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
If this goes through.
I couldn't have this thing just land on the street in front of my house because I doubt it's going to fit in my driveway.
Right. There'd be a designated spot. And maybe that means you have to drive, kind of like the GO train. Right? We drive to the GO train location, or some do, some bike, some walk, right? I mean, depending on where you are, maybe that's the location where you have several that land in that spot and they take designated routes.
So you check into the kiss and ride. You park your car.
That's right. Kiss and fly, I believe.
And you jump in the helicopter
Yeah.
and you're off on your way. All right, well.
I don't know. Let's just say that makes sense anyway.
People are generally not that concerned about that. However, they did find a couple of things. Number one, people have very limited knowledge of this futuristic mode of transportation. They don't know how it works. They don't know how much it'll cost, who's making it, where they'll be available, what the rules are going to be. We have a lot of unanswered questions, but that's not Canadians' fault. That's the people who are in charge of setting the rules.
Yeah.
Maybe Transport Canada here could come out and say, hypothetically, if we were to legalize them, we would like anybody flying east-west to fly at an odd number of feet. You could be at 1,000, 3,000, or 5,000. Anybody going north-south, you would have to be flying at 2,000, 4,000, or 6,000 feet. There's a lot of different common sense things they could do, just like regular commercial aircraft have rules. They could do stuff
Sure.
like that, but no leadership on this so far. They found that once people learned about some of the possibilities like advanced search and rescue, firefighting, medical uses,
Yes.
then people were much
That's
more in
fine.
favor of it.
Yeah.
Between
I'm on that train right there.
It's amazing what they do between the Milton Hospital and the Oakville Trafalgar New Regional Hospital. They fly like blood and whatever other kind of samples back and forth between the hospital via drone.
Yep.
Is that somebody's job or is this just automated? Like, is there somebody sitting in the hospital remote piloting a drone?
I'm sure there's going to be someone monitoring it at the least to make sure it gets where it's supposed to be, right? Or make sure no accidents happen. So with this flying thing, so I don't trust people. So I don't want like regular schmoes to like, be in this thing. Like, I don't even care if you're I don't want like Judith Smith, the CEO of some fucking company that makes millions. I don't even want her to commute so that she could still have her nice house in Muskoka but still work downtown Toronto. Like, I don't want those fucking people. Get there however you got to get there the way you're supposed to get there. No.
It would be a half-hour trip, by the way, from Muskoka
quick.
to downtown Toronto, roof to roof.
Right? Like, so I mean, all of that sounds great, but the amount or the of people that would want this, I feel like it's not fair, and it's going to go to the have, not the have-nots, right? I mean, it's going to go to the people who are the richest first. That always makes sense. That is the way it is. But where you get me intrigued is that medical situation. That hey, we need a doctor on scene. I mean, I look at Orange Ambulance, right? Orange Ambulance, as is, they will fly to that scene of that crash. Good, but it's never easy for them. There's usually a lot to maneuver around. If you could fly out quicker, like hey, the Orange Ambulance will be here in 20. However, I could fly this surgeon, whatever it is, extra paramedics out with ease in 5 minutes. Fucking giddy up. That's great. That sounds good. If we can save lives with it, if we can make changes with it, make differences, big differences, good differences in the world with it, cool. But I don't want regular average. I don't fucking trust people. I don't want any of that. People are gonna hit things. Insurance is gonna be fucked. Diamond and Diamond is going to be busy as shit for sure, though.
No kidding. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So I'm not about that. But if we can use it for actual purpose that's going to help and change things for the better, then I'm listening.
I'm trying to figure out what could go wrong. I mean, as I think about it with cars, we're not very good at that. We've been doing this for about 100 years now.
Long time.
And it's a mess every day in every city. There are dozens of accidents that happen, cars crashing into each other. Now, in the air, there's a lot more room. In theory, that shouldn't happen, but I'm pretty confident that's going to happen.
In theory.
You know, right now, you might, for example, as you're pulling out of the Walmart parking lot, run over the curb and do a little damage to the side of your car. Maybe you'll crash into one of those barriers that blocks in the shopping cart corral. There's all kinds of things that happen in parking lots. Is it going to be like that with the planes?
And
what happens if you get a little ding in your aircraft because you accidentally hit a hydro pole taking off?
You hit a goose. I mean, you could hit any number of things. The odds are slim for sure. Maybe. But I could see this just going wrong. I just could.
Yeah, I think it's going to go wrong too.
I don't know.
Yeah. Will there be speed limits? Will there be cops up there keeping an eye, or will they just wait until you eventually come down and bust you then?
And do you want to be underneath it when it goes over you if something's wrong? You know what I mean?
No flying over water. I think we'd agree that's probably got to be a rule.
Probably not, but I don't even want it flying over my house.
Yeah, that's true too.
You know what I mean? I don't trust anything.
Only flying over current roads now.
But no, even then, I don't want it to drive over me in the 401.
True. Only flying over vacant farmland.
Yes, that's better.
I'm really curious to see how it goes because you know what? At one point, they probably said when everybody was riding around in horses and buggies and somebody proposed the car. Was it Henry Ford? It was one.
Yeah, I think so.
And when he said, hey, listen, I got an easier way. We're going to put 4 tires on this fucking thing. I created this engine that's going to make the wheels go round. It'll just fucking drive you.
Vroom, vroom.
And that's probably exactly how the conversation went.
Yeah, for sure.
And they said, you're fucking crazy, Henry. You and your dumb ideas. People are going to be crashing into each other and it'll be at high speeds. And yes, all those prophecies were correct. And
eventually.
To this day, we still haven't solved that problem.
Yeah.
But
that's why I'm afraid is that we still haven't been able to solve this. And people are getting dumber. They're not getting smarter. We as a human race are not getting smarter. We're getting dumber.
We're pretty fucking dumb.
Yes.
Yeah. We do a lot of dumb shit. We take a lot of chances. We're reckless, distracted.
Yes.
I wonder if you'll be able to use your cell phone while you're doing that.
Yeah, you know?
These things have got to fly completely autonomously. Like, they can't let humans actually fly these things unless you're a certified pilot.
Are they chargeable? Are these charged?
Some of them are electric. The one that Hyundai made, and believe it or not, Hyundai has a flying remote vehicle.
All right.
It's electric. You got to plug it in.
Yeah.
Although this electric shit is getting on my nerves. I just saw something on Twitter today. A brand new fleet of electric buses that are getting ready to be rolled out. I believe it was in Toronto. Mm-hmm. They're charging them with a diesel generator. They're charging an electric bus with a giant diesel generator.
I'm shaking my head.
What the fuck are we doing here, people? What are we doing? It's messed up. There's more, though. The city of Ottawa's plan to put some non-urgent patients in taxis has now been blocked by the provincial Ministry of Health. Pandemic Chief Pierre Poirier told city councillors in a memo the pilot program was dependent on the province's approval. The plan was for paramedics to assess a patient and send those who have less serious injuries, like a twisted ankle or a cut that might need some stitches, to the hospital in a taxi to reduce the ambulance backlog. First off, I don't hate this. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
We're at a point right now
hate it.
where we've got so many people running to the hospital for things that don't need hospitalization.
No.
And we've got paramedics that are spent, completely overworked, underappreciated, underpaid, and they're going nonstop from the beginning to the end of their shift, and sometimes longer. If this would take some of the burden off of them and make sure that if you're having like a cardiac event or something and you need an ambulance and an experienced paramedic, to make sure that there's always one available, this is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the fact that the system has crumbled to a point where now we're sending people that are actually fucking bleeding to the hospital in a taxi.
They do this in the Dominican Republic.
They do it in the Dominican.
They did it with us. When my daughter got her stitches, I'm waiting for transportation thinking an ambulance is coming to the resort. They're like, definitely stitches, can't do it here. Got to do it at a hospital. Transportation's on the way. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck, we're going to see a Dominican ambulance. Nope. It was just Pedro picking us up in his Uber, essentially. I was like, oh, this is hospital transportation. But they have trusted there. They have trusted, and they'd probably do it here if this went through. They have trusted cabs. So they have to have a specific license to be able to take tourists anyway. Here, it's about tourists. There, it's about tourists. Here, it wouldn't be about tourists. But they have to have specific licenses to be able to be the one. Because you have to have some minimal training in case shit goes awry.
Who pays for the cab, by the way?
That's a great question.
Is the person who called for an ambulance but then got stuck in a cab, do they pay for the cab? Does the region? Does the city? The country?
That's a great question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, We got to do something.
Something's got to give here.
They've got to solve the problem. I mean, the healthcare system is basically laughable at this point.
Yep.
I went yesterday for that shot of cortisone.
Yes. And how are you feeling now?
It's sore.
It's sore, okay.
She told me that. Listen, I'm going to admit, I am a giant pussy. Let me tell you what happened here yesterday when I went to the office. I got there on time, and I'm just dream scrolling through my phone because I'm trying not to think about the needle.
Sure.
And I think that all of you people who are not afraid of needles should show a little more empathy to those of us who are. If somebody was afraid of drowning, you certainly wouldn't tell them, come on, you pussy, jump in the pool. No, you wouldn't do that.
They might.
Well, they might, actually.
They might.
My friends would. So anyway, I got called into the room, and I'm sitting there waiting. And then finally, a woman walks in, and she said, hello, I'm Dr. Whatever, and I'm doing the shot clinic on behalf of your surgeon. So we're going to give you a shot today, and any questions? And I said to her, well, listen, I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I don't want to be here. I don't really like needles, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to react. And I just want to give you a heads up that I'm really nervous about this. And she said, okay, no problem. I can talk you through it. She starts by showing me the needle, which was like five times longer than any other fucking needle I've ever seen in my life.
You should have said, I don't want to see it.
I didn't know she was going to lead with that. I didn't know.
Talking you through is probably the worst. I don't want to be talked through anything. I'm usually like, just do it. I don't want to know. Whatever noises happen, whatever gets pushed in me, pulled out of me, don't tell me, just fucking do it.
Well, I mean, I'll give her credit, and anybody who does this job credit. The technology's great. She's got this little thing. It looks like a pen. And she can just sort of wander it over my ankle. And then on her iPhone, she's seeing in real time sonar or
where she has to put it, basically?
Like an ultrasound. Yeah. She
yeah.
was scanning to see where exactly the joint in my ankle was. And if you're wondering where this needle went, picture where your leg meets your foot. Right in the front there.
Gah. Yeah, no, not fun.
No.
Like, that's nothing to look forward to. I get it.
And I wasn't.
Ugh.
So I warned her in advance, listen, I'm real nervous about this. And she's like, okay, so I found the joint. We're ready to go if you're ready. And I was laying on my back at the time. And I was just making a fist. You know, that strategy that they taught me when I was 5 and didn't want to get needles then either. So I'm making 2 fists and I'm trying to hold it together. And she touched me again with the sonar pen thingy. And I almost hit the roof. And it wasn't even a needle. That's how nervous I was about this. And she said, you know what? Don't worry. There's numbing in this. We don't need to give you 2 shots. We only need to give you 1 because the numbing is built right in. It should kick in about 30 minutes. And I thought, I don't need it in 30 minutes. I need it right fucking now. You're about to put the needle in. Let's get the numbing going. And she said, oh, no. This is for the after effects of the shot. I said, all right, well, since you brought it up, you got any of that numbing stuff? It'd be pretty cool if you just numbed up that part of my ankle before you put the shot in. She said, no, we don't have that here. It's probably not going to be effective anyway. She said, let's just do it. Do you want me to tell you what I'm going to do it, or should I just put it in? And I thought, I've actually asked this question to other people in the past, and it's weird being asked. But you know what? Just put it in and don't tell me.
Don't say anything. It's better not to get a heads up sometimes.
Yeah. So like 5 seconds went by that felt like about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then she finally put this needle in, and it's not like the COVID shot. That was shitty enough, and that was apparently a real small needle. This was like long. The big Billy Baru.
Yeah, it's got to be long.
So it goes in, and she's putting it in to a point where I feel like it's probably going to come out the bottom of my foot. That's how far this thing went in.
Fuck. You didn't look down, right?
No.
No.
God, I would have thrown up for sure.
Yeah.
So I said to her, where are we at here with this? How long is that going to be in there? And she said, well, we're almost done. First I'm going to start to inject the liquid here, the medication. I'm like, okay. And then that's a burn when you feel something getting injected into you. And then she said, okay, now you're going to feel a little burning feeling. And I thought, oh, fucking
just did. Like, I just already did.
It occurred to me, though, because I've never experienced pain like that. I'm laying there making a fist to the point where I thought my fingers were going to go through my palm. And I thought to myself, this isn't even real. Like, why would they let humans go through this much pain? Is there seriously not an easier way to do this? Apparently, there's no easier way. 2024, and we're still sticking fucking needles in people. So I'm trying to get through this. Finally, she pulled it out. And I felt like it was the exact same feeling as when you get off a roller coaster. I felt like, whew, holy shit, I can't believe I did it. Wow, I lived through it. And this might seem trivial to you. if you are not afraid of needles. For someone who is afraid of needles, I felt like I just climbed Mount Everest, Kat.
Try getting like an epidural or a spinal. I got a spinal done.
Oh.
Yeah, so because I knew the second time I knew I was going in for the C-section, it was already planned. The first time I didn't. It was an emergency. So I ended up getting double needle, like a lot of shit done. Try that when they're like, stay still, or you could be paralyzed.
Oh.
Have fun with that one.
Great.
And you're sitting up. You're not lying down. There's no comfort. You're sitting there being held up basically by two nurses.
Oh, shit.
A lot, yeah.
How much
so
does that
that's why
hurt
I
going
don't
in?
feel bad for you.
Well, and I asked her too. When
and it
she's
hurts. It
given
does
me-
hurt going in. It's
Really?
uncomfortable, weird feeling.
Well, she's given me this tutorial, and here's what it is. Here's what it does. It's got to go into your joint, so I got to use this sonar to find your joint, and yada, yada, yada. I said to her, okay, just give me a number, like scale of 1 to 10. And 1 is like the old COVID shots, and 10's like an epidural. How much is this going to hurt? Give me a number. And while she wouldn't give me a number, she did say, and this is where I thought I was going to throw up the first time, you're going to feel substantial pain.
Yeah, substantial's a harsh word to hear.
I'm trying to figure out if I would have preferred she lie to me. She didn't. She was right on. It was substantial pain. It didn't last that long, but holy shit, Kat. I had to work. Apparently, I have to go back in a couple of months for another one. It's going to take a
What?
lot of fucking booze to get me in there that time.
No.
Yeah.
A couple months?
Couple
I thought
months.
this was supposed to last like 6 months. They lied to you?
Well, if I don't have the
Fuckers.
surgery in between now and then I'll
Right.
have to have another one.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on with this surgery. I just got a referral for a CT scan that's not until December the 16th.
Yeah, jeez.
Get the
Louise.
fuck outta here.
Yeah, our healthcare system's awful.
Why can't we
Takes
make
so
it?
goddamn long.
I know, it's crazy. I really wish we would normalize it a little bit. Right now, they still put a little stigma on you when you say you're going to the States to get things done. People are like, oh, look at you, Richie Rich. You can afford to skip the line. No, I just don't want to wait 8 fucking months for a CT
Don't
scan
blame
or an
you.
MRI.
I don't blame anyone for doing that, man. I'd rather take out a fucking loan and do that if you had to. Like at this point than waiting.
You can cross the border and skip down to Allentown, Pennsylvania and get it done for $70 the same day. Why would I wait until December to do this? Unless I have to drive back down there to pick up the CD. That'll be a problem.
They should be able to mail it to you at that point. Come on.
You'd think.
Yeah.
Okay, we are out of time, but I'm going to end with just a couple of food news bits from
Yep.
the Scott and Kat radio show. Little Caesars has now unveiled their Crazy Puffs KD mac and cheese. It is a combination of pizza and KD. An order of Crazy Puffs mac and cheese includes 4 handheld pieces of dough filled with mac and cheese, topped with 100% Canadian shredded cheese and a sprinkle of cheddar seasoning for $4.99.
Okay, so like a pizza ball on the outside, mac and cheese on the inside is that right? Basically?
Yeah, good on Little Caesars for trying to make it seem creative. At the end of the day, you've created a KD calzone here. That's basically
Right.
what this is. It's a handheld pizza crust that you jammed full of cheese and KD. Having said that, as much as I'd love to hate this idea, it might just be delicious, Kat. It
Who
might be
knows?
great. Pizza Hut, not to be outdone, has now introduced what they teased us with a few weeks ago, their cheeseburger melt. It hit stores yesterday. It's $9.99. It consists of Pizza Hut dough or crust with cheese, beef, red onion, and bacon. Folded over and served with the Big Hut sauce to dip in.
Big Hut. What's the Big Hut sauce like?
I think it's
Is that
their-
a creamy one?
I think it's their pizza
Or is that the-
marinara, isn't it?
Oh, it's the marinara.
I think so. I don't
okay,
know.
Okay,
I've never
okay,
fucking
okay,
had
okay.
Pizza
I
Hut.
don't know. I haven't had Pizza Hut in fucking years.
Who goes to Pizza Hut
I
and
don't-
doesn't have pizza? Why would they even need this? Who wants a cheeseburger and says Pizza Hut?
Yeah.
It's
I
not an
don't.
instinctual thing.
Not at all.
Finally, A&W wants you whistling for their new whistle dog,
Mm-hmm.
which is not new at all. This is a popular item, which they fuck with us, right? They bring it out, and people get all excited about hot dogs at the drive-thru,
Yes.
and then they pull it away again.
And then they get rid of it.
The Whistle Dog is back in all A&W locations across Canada for a limited time. The Whistle Dog is a hot dog in a toasted bun topped with relish, cheddar cheese, bacon. Whistle Dog. Or
Okay.
Whistle Dog.
Whistle dog.
If you're fancy.
I think you got to say whistle dog.
Whistle dog.
Why that combo of toppings? You have no choice? Or can you you got to be able to modify it or say naked weenie if you wanted, right?
A naked wiener?
A naked whistle.
What I don't understand is there like a hole in the middle of it? Why do they call it a Whistle Dog?
It's like flattened. Have you seen the picture of it? I saw someone posting about it because they were really excited about it being back. It looks like a regular dog, but a little bit, I don't know. It almost looks like it was like cut in half, doesn't it?
Really? Like a split wiener?
Let me just look this up now because I'm curious. I want to see. Yeah, it looks like it. Hang on. It looks messy.
It is.
Yeah, it's split. It's a split weenie. In this picture, at least. And then they put the bacon inside the slit. And, and the little cheese bits inside the slit.
I wish you guys could see the hand gestures Kat's making right
now. And the
relish
is like schmudged onto the bun.
Oh, is it schmudged on there?
Schmudged on.
All right, good.
It looks filthy. It looks filthy, but I can see why people like it. But yeah, they basically slice this thing in half.
Thoughts and prayers, everybody.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers. There's a lot of people going to be driving around, one hand on the wheel and one hand on their dog. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but more hot dog options in the drive-thru is great. It doesn't have a price point on it, but I can't imagine it's as expensive as a burger. We all know you can get a whole package of hot dogs for about $3.99.
Do you want me to also look up the price while we're talking about it? Because I have a feeling it's probably more expensive than we think. Have you dined at A&W?
Not recently, but can I just tell you, anytime I do go to A&W, I like their burgers. The Mama Burger and Papa Burgers are great burgers. Their Matzo Burger is another great burger.
You're paying for quality, don't get me wrong, but when I go to get my kids meals there, it's the same price as like an adult combo anywhere else.
Oh, well, fuck them.
No, it's it's very expensive. $11.89. Let me see if that's right though. That may or may not be with fries though. Nonetheless, if you guys have a whistle dog and if you care to tell us a little bit more about it, feel free to.
If it's more than $2, you're getting ripped off.
It's going to be way more than. Are you serious? It's going to be way more than $2.
Well, how much are they over there at Harvey's?
Harvey's is up to like $5-6. But they're not cheap.
For a hot dog?
You get a lot of meat with it though.
Fuck out of here.
No, you get a lot of meat with it. Like that said, it's like think about the burgers. How much are the burgers? Expensive. This is going to be at least $6. Just for the dog. The dogs are going for fucking $5 on the cart outside a goddamn Canadian Tire.
They've lost their minds with the pricing. I don't know. I appreciate the tradition. It's basically a Canadian tradition. You go into Canadian Tire and you buy your fucking Christmas lights or your sled or your skates or whatever it is you buy.
Right now, you're gardening shit.
And then you grab a sausage or a dog on the way out the door. We all understand how it works. Now, it takes forever, and they're charging way too much money for street meat. I can't do it anymore, Kat. I won't even do that. I've got a 4-pound brisket sitting on my counter at home that was $26. Why in the holy shit would I pay $15 for a Big Mac? Today is National Burger Day, though, so you go ahead and do what you want with that info. Gotta go, everybody. Have a fantastic Tuesday. Another After 9 tomorrow.
Bye.